Hey guys, I had a review of your site to see some growth opportunities, to see essentially how can you adjust your website and make some improvements so that you can get more visibility for your product, how you can build more trust with people once they come to your website, and overall grow your business and maybe more importantly increase the positive impact that you have on the community and the environment. I really like the product that you have. I took a look at your website. I read your story, and I think it's really cool that you guys used a wok donated from the kitchen for your first prototype. That's pretty funny. I'd love to see a picture of that if you guys have one. I'm sure you do somewhere. And it sounds like this is something that has evolved over time. You guys went out and interviewed 100 people from restaurants, hotels, and within the green building industry to improve your product. And I don't have information on how many sales you're doing right now, but I assume that you are making some sales, and I can see from your customer reviews that you do have several customers already. So that's fantastic. I'd love to see this take off and be even bigger than it already is. And in this review, I'm going to give you some ways to make your homepage a little bit better to help you guys grow. So I do see a ton of opportunities across the site in many different areas, but for this first report, to keep it short and simple, I've limited it just to the homepage. So I did an audit of your homepage, and I'm going to walk you through the results of that audit here. Okay, so in summary, on a high level, I think in terms of the strength of your website for your homepage, for creating a homepage that's going to be effective at communicating with your target market and increasing your sales, you're at about 50% of where you can be. So there's a lot of opportunity here for you guys to improve. So this is broken down into different sections of your website, starting with the top section and working through to the footer. So I'm going to go through here and point out some of the top areas of improvement, and there's more details in the full report, and you can let me know if you have additional questions afterwards. So for your top section, right now I can see that you're hitting about 2 out of the 4 points. Your scores about 50% for how strong you can have this top section. The top section is very important because this is the first thing people see, and you really have about 3 to 5 seconds for people to understand that they're in the right place and for them to take the next appropriate action. If you can't do that within 3 to 5 seconds, most likely they're going to leave and go somewhere else. The attention span of people on the internet right now is amazingly short, as I'm sure you're already aware of. So the main thing here is just for you guys to really improve and wordsmith your primary title and your subtitle. So I think you can do a much better job of making sure that when someone arrives here, they read this first line and they say, oh, fantastic, this is exactly what I was looking for, this solves my problem. And the subline should also support that. Ideally, you want them to understand the transition that you're going to help them make. So from having normal umbrellas outside of their business to having live and vibrant umbrellas that are more sustainable, more attractive. Essentially, they're going to have a better business if they're utilizing your umbrellas rather than the old-fashioned umbrellas. Something along those lines. Now, I'm not 100% sure on your most important target market, but we can dig into that a little bit later, and I'd be happy to update my findings once I have that information. The next thing is your call to action. So I think the next step for someone most likely is to understand what the pricing is, or to understand which model is best for them, whether it's for their home or their business or something else. Buy now is okay, it's not bad, but I think that you can have a better next step for someone coming to your website. I'll talk a little bit more about this later, but they may want to learn from other success stories about what worked well, so that way they know what will work well for their business. And I think that may be a better logical next step than just going straight to checking out. Okay, so as far as imagery goes, I think that you have some room to improve on imagery, and I've included some information for you about what good imagery looks like. I think the main thing is you have some good pictures in here, like this one is quite strong. but you have some other pictures where it's not really clear what the focus is. And just looking across your site as well, I'd really love to see like the anatomy of your green canopies. I didn't really get a clear picture of that, and I think it would be really helpful for buyers as well if they had that. And the last point on the imagery here is I think that you can make the pictures higher quality and more professional, and just put more of the emphasis on the umbrellas and also on the transformation that your audience is going to have. So for example, if you look at this first image here, which is the most important, it's not clear that one, the umbrella is here, and two, it's not clear that your target segment, if this is your most important target segment, is really enjoying the fact that they have the umbrella, right? She's kind of looking up. She, doesn't look upset, but she doesn't look happy. And the main takeaway is you really want someone to feel like, oh, they see the product or service that you're providing, and they can put themselves in their shoes of the person that you have in the picture here, who is enjoying that transformation from before they didn't have the nice canopy umbrella, living umbrella. Afterwards they did, and they're happy about that decision. So again, I can help coach you guys on that in a later session. The top menu, just real quickly, this one is really straightforward. You have a good top menu. It's good to keep it simple, and the only thing here is it's a little bit hard to see because of the background and the text you have here. I know that once you scroll down it turns white. This is much easier to see, so maybe you want to just maintain that at the top here, depending on the design that you want. Okay, your calls to action, we talked a little bit about these before when talking about this buy now button. Essentially what you want to do is just make sure that the person on your website knows what the next step is when they're going to click this and why it's important, right? So this one has some good supporting text here. Meet the people and places that are home to so many spectacular living umbrellas. So that does give some context, but probably what you really want to have here is, see examples from other businesses, homes, and public spaces, so you can find the right fit for you, something like that. And then when you go here, then you want to say, like, probably have some type of segmentation where people can say, I'm a business, I'm a homeowner, or I'm in charge of a public space, and then they can click on each of those and then go to specific examples about how you solve problems in those different spaces. So everyone's getting a tailored experience that way. So yeah, if that call to action isn't clear, then someone is likely going to skip over it rather than clicking on it and taking the action that you want them to take. And here's your third call to action. This is good. I think you probably don't need to really change this one. This is showing that your values align with the values of your target market, right? You guys are green from the start. You have a passion for ecology, and you're ecological engineers and designers. So that's fantastic. I think that your target market is environmentally conscious, probably socially aware group, and they want to see that your values align with your values. So I think that's good. Okay, the body, here's where you can have a pretty big impact on how much time people are spending on your homepage, and more importantly, how much value they're getting. So in the body, you really want to describe, essentially what your product is, how it works, and who it's for. So you have, touches of that here, but this is mostly product focused, right? So most of the copy here is talking about, just what the product is and the features of it, and it kind of makes the product the hero. Really what you want to do is position this so that your target segment, the person who's coming to your website, is the hero, right? So what can this do for you? How can it help your space? What are the benefits and features that support the goal that you have in changing the space that you want to change? And I would recommend breaking this into two sections. So I've recommended that you have a how service and a how section and a who section. You can also add a call to action at the end of both of those sections about what the visitor should do next. So I can walk you through a few examples of those in a follow-up to help clarify that. But I see a big opportunity for you to really improve the functionality of your page and the value that you're able to convey just by making a few simple adjustments like that. I see you're on Shopify, and it's pretty easy for you to just make a couple of new sections here and then wordsmith that writing. I've given you a process at the end to give you the foundational pieces that you need to be able to write that copy effectively. So I'm not going to go over that in this video, but we can go over that in a follow-up. And you can see just here real quickly. Here's the diagram. Once you get past these prerequisite steps, then you'll have the pieces in place for you to write really good copy that's really going to communicate with your audience well. And it's going to empower you to do a lot of other things as well. So back to the report, we have a few other sections here. So I'll talk about trust and then the footer, and then I'll end it there for this section. I'll try to keep this video as concise as possible. So for trust, you guys are doing quite well. I've given you a 3 out of 4. The one thing you can do better is actually telling the story of your customers a little bit better, and as I mentioned earlier, mapping that back to the needs of your current customers, right? So you already have all the information. I think it's just a matter of organization here. Like you can see, homeowner, here is a small business, again, small business. This looks like it's probably at the university, and then this also university, so maybe that fits into like organization space or corporate space or public space. I'm not sure exactly the main different areas where you guys have customers, but the main takeaway here is that on the homepage, it's fantastic that you have these testimonials. So that's really good. That really builds trust with potential buyers. And the next thing is you can just take it a step further, and you can clarify the use cases and why this umbrella was a good solution for them. So what you want is someone to follow that and see that case study and be able to put themselves in that person's shoes and say, oh yeah, actually that's the same problem I have, and this is the solution that they had. Okay, that's fantastic. This is definitely going to work for me. You're just increasing their confidence. They don't want to have a risk that they buy your umbrella and there's some unique thing about their business and for some reason it won't work for them. That's going to make them hesitate and lose confidence in the solution that you're providing. Okay, lastly, the footer. And there is a piece about responsiveness, but you're on Shopify. They do a great job of making responsive sites, and you have a 4 out of 4 here. So I'm not going to cover that in this video. Let's just quickly talk about the footer, and then I'll wrap it up. And if you have any additional questions, you can get in touch with me afterwards. So your footer is relatively good. It looks like there are some formatting issues here, and you are missing some additional information that I would recommend that you have. So in general, you want to just keep your top menu simple, and probably only need to have like your home, shop, design, and maybe contact. About you could probably keep in there. It's up to you guys really, but you probably don't need these drop downs. You just want to keep it simple so that someone doesn't have too many decisions to make. But your footer is the opportunity to expand that menu. So if you want to have links out here to about pages, your story, case studies, things like that, this is a great place to do that. So essentially, you want someone to come here, understand what the problem or solution, what their problem is, make sure they feel like they're in the right place and that you have the right solution, and then you want them to take the next step. You don't want them to have to think too much about going to, which page should I navigate to here, etc. It should be a pretty clear path for them. But then, if they're not ready to take that action, then they're going to read more information. they're going to be building trust with you. They'll see case studies. They can take action appropriately as they read through your page. And then by the time they get to the footer, they should be pretty familiar with your brand and the solution you provide. And then they can look to the footer for additional pages and deeper sections of your website. So I think that's a good amount of information right now. I try to keep these videos short. Hopefully I didn't go too fast. But again, I think you guys have a great product here. It's exciting to see this, and I'm looking forward to helping you. So let me know if you have any questions, and hopefully we can connect soon.